that I have ever met. I've been a part of several different kinds of organizations over the years of my life, and I've never met a more caring and giving group of people, and everybody is concerned with each other and wants to see they want to see what's right. They want to see people protected, and they don't want to be a commodity. They don't want their living space to be just money in someone's coffers. They want it to be, they want some freedom and they have none, you know? And so many people are just dealing with these horrible landlords, and we get people that call in and people that talk to us all the time that aren't a part of the tenant union. And I want to encourage everybody to get involved, to come down, meet with us, email me, waywardproductions@gmail. Look up the Tenants Union of Washington, whatever you have to do, like find a way to get a hold of us and come see us. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir right now because it's mostly going to be tenants from the Tenants Union that are listening to this. But just in case we get out there somewhere, I just hope that you all will get involved and take action in your own self-determination and really put some boots on the ground and start making some things happen with us. And if you're just say you're a property owner and you live in your own home, but you're not a landlord, come talk to us. See what you can do. See if you can help. Like, we could really use your help and the support of people in the community that aren't necessarily in our position. I mean, it's really difficult. You have a lot of people that have always had something their entire life, and they've never felt like they could lose it. And if you've ever had nothing, you know the rest of your life, you know that you could lose it at any given moment. You could lose it again, and it's total panic, and you're fucking scared all the goddamn time. And what am I going to do if this happens? And holy shit, my life's going to be over. I got to figure out something. And it's just total petrifying fear. And nobody should have to live like that. It's just an absurd way to live. So I'll start mine here. What makes the fabric of a neighborhood? To me, the answer is simple. It is the people who live there. What makes a city is the people who live there. Therefore, you cannot make a city or neighborhood better through gentrification and pushing out the people who live in the neighborhood so you can bring in fancier homes, businesses, and people. The way you make a neighborhood better, a city better, is by uplifting the people who already live there. Research has shown that generosity and a connection to community raises levels of oxytocin in the human brain, a chemical which helps us be more productive in the work environment. Lab rats who are given the option of taking cocaine ignore the option when they have a community and plenty of recreation. What this tells me is that humans too would be more inclined to be productive members of society with less stress, more recreation, and a stronger sense of community. A little bit of power and self-determination over their living environment. As it stands right now, our only hope is to manage to stay one step ahead of the landlord in a commodified relationship that has pitted them versus us, our well-being versus theirs. Most of us, if we stumble in any way or have an emergency of any kind, are at the threat of losing our shelter because of the commodified relationship between us, the tenants, and them, the landlords. They are forced to act brutally where they might otherwise be compassionate people. It has come down to them or us. Landlords mind the relationship less than we do because in nearly every aspect they have the upper hand. They might do so reluctantly and with sorrow, but they will have us removed, our things stacked on the sidewalk, a legal eviction that will almost ensure that we cannot find a place of our own in the near future, and faced with either burdening our friends and family or living on the streets. We need a better solution, a solution that brings independence and freedom to the tenant, a guided path to ownership and responsibility in one's own community, something that draws us to work together to find solutions. We need less of the unnecessary middleman between tenants and their residencies. The profits that go to landlords now could go to building maintenance, upkeep, and even, if a community chooses to do so, emergency relief for tenants in their buildings. This would give tenants security, individual liberty, and relieve the stress that makes people less productive in their communities. Co-op ownership and public housing is the answer to the contentious landlord and tenant relationships. There are amazing examples of both if you just look for them. So I just want to say that, the way I picture it looking and what I was trying to figure out how to do when I knew that after my landlord had been shot and I knew that they were putting the property up for sale was to try to figure out how we can buy it and own it democratically. And my vision is for all of these buildings, all these people who have invested in their property, who think the rules are too much, they could sell their properties to the tenants. And tenants should have first right to buy that property. They've been paying hundreds of dollars every week, thousands of dollars every year. One of the tenants in my old building literally lived there long enough to buy the entire fucking building at the cost that it was sold for when they bought it. 50 years she lived there. So she has paid for the place. And I just think that so tenants should have that first right at a reasonable price to buy the property that they have been living in, that they have been taking care of, and they would own it democratically. You have a board meeting or whatever once a month and decide what you're going to do with the extra funds. You don't drop the rent completely, but you don't have to raise it on each other like a landlord would. And you just keep it slightly above what your mortgage is. And then you use the extra funds for building maintenance and upkeep, new windows or washer and dryers, whatever it is that you guys want. If you decide that you all want washer and dryers in the unit and you want to use the building funds for that, then you do that. If not, then one person could have theirs altered. You get approval from the committee and all of that kind of stuff. Just democratize the living space. And I mean, if democracy is good, then it should be in our home, So I just wanted to point that out. I'm going to play a couple songs here. I'm going to play a couple songs here, and then I will get into some of the other things, some of the stuff that took place yesterday, and try to break that down a little bit. But one of the things I wanted to talk about first, really, actually, is that Ben Stuckert seems to have this obsession with target zoning. So his idea is that we target zone these areas like East Sprague, which would they would gentrify it. They don't want to use the word gentrification because it's a bad word, because it's shit. It's garbage and it's bullshit, and it throws people out of their homes and pushes them out to the outskirts of the city where poor people end up having to pay more and take up more of their time to commute on buses and however else they do it. They're away from grocery stores now, so they have to take a cab or an Uber or whatever to go get groceries. It just makes life even more difficult for the most vulnerable populations, and just betters life for people with money. And there is no benefit to working class people of gentrification, unless you are completely okay with paying thousands of dollars more to live in a area that is a little prettier, and that's really it. If you're really into yoga or something, and you like sipping lattes, then it's heaven, I guess. But for the rest of us, it's bullshit and it sucks. And I lived in Seattle. I'm from Seattle, and I watched the entire place just turn into this fucking sci-fi nightmare right before my eyes. Just this horrific fucking plastic, sanitized, boring, creepy place. Like, you used to walk around anywhere in Spokane, even the more like upscale kind of business areas and everything, and you would see a bunch of dudes with tattoos, and it wasn't like Seattle's never been a threatening place, so it wasn't like scary or anything. It was just, it had some grit, and the people would talk to you, and it was, you know, lively. And now if you go downtown, it's a bunch of guys that, you know, in button-up shirts that are tucked into white slacks, carrying a briefcase, walking to Amazon or whatever the fuck they're doing. And the people are different. It's just this weird, creepy... the only way I can really describe it is uncanny valley. Like the feeling that you get when you look at something that's supposed to be real, but it's not real. They use that term for realistic robots, where if it looks real, but you can't determine what it is that's missing, and it's like a soul. And Seattle has lost its soul. There is nothing left. It is shit. I hate it. They ruined my hometown. I can't go back. It's too expensive. I still love a lot of the people around there, but I know their life is hard. A lot of my friends have been pushed out to the suburbs, and the prices aren't much better there. I mean, you're talking about maybe $100 a month difference or something, probably. But, and they're gentrifying the fucking suburbs too, so it's not like you can fucking get away. There's no escape. It's just people just building obsessively. And it's creepy, and it sucks, and it takes away everything. And one of the things about Spokane, man, it has some of the most beautiful old buildings. And what'll happen, because I've experienced this, is some of those old buildings are safe because they're historic buildings. But all the buildings around them will just be these glass towers, and you won't be able to enjoy that rawness, that history, because it's surrounded by this. You know, have you ever seen the movie Home, and they build the skyscrapers around that home? It's like that. I mean, it's just... I mean, they even had a picture that was like the real home house. I don't think the movie was called Home. It's some Disney movie. It's a cartoon of some kind. I don't know what it's called, but I think it's the one with the balloons on the house and the guy goes flying away. I don't think I paid attention to the whole thing when I watched it with my ex's kid, but they actually had a house in Ballard that was like that, and the lady wouldn't sell, so they just built all around her and just closed her in until she would sell. So, I mean, it's horrible. So the next two songs I'm going to play back to back, because one is about Seattle right before gentrification totally took over. It was already overpriced, and certain pockets, target zones, sound familiar, had been hit and had been... but it didn't really change. Like, they were already kind of like upper class areas, and so like Green Lake and everything, you're on the lake there, so who cares that they built a bunch of nice buildings and condos around there? Like, those are the people that you should do that to. I mean, not to, they like it, you know, so let them have it. Let them have it in their own fucking neighborhoods and keep it the fuck out of ours. So the first song is, I think it came out in like 2009 or 2008, and it's about Seattle and just talking about how much they love Seattle. The one I'm going to play right after that is more recent, and it talks about the gentrification of Seattle. So I'm going to play those two songs back to back. The first one's Jake One, Home, and Jake One was just a producer in Seattle, and he was on Rhyme Sayers Records, and the MCs on it are Vitamin D, Note, Maniac, B, and Ish.
blow pip, medical car seat, the doctor on some Kumo shit. Split the blunt after you fold it, you gon' trip, but happy